Dave Gettleman and the New York Giants are absolutely killing it so far in free agency. This is not a bias thing, but I honestly think the New York Giants won free agency based on what their needs were going into the offseason, what we thought they were limited to in the offseason, and what they ultimately did in the offseason. When you count all those factors, the New York Giants have dominated this offseason with just pulling out money from random places. The contract management, we'll get into most of that today. We're just going to be talking about the secondary. I really want to focus on the secondary today. We'll have our free agent roundup later on in this week just because there are some talks of the New York Giants signing other players, so I don't want to exclude them. So let's get into it. Make sure you guys hit that like button for me and subscribe for more NFL content coming your guys' way. This video is also sponsored by Manscaped, who is the best in men's hair grooming. Make sure you guys use my code KB27 for 20% off plus shipping at checkout. Make sure at checkout you go ahead and use the code KB27 and you will get that 20% off plus free shipping. Make sure you guys do that. It helps me out a lot. So let's get on to the video. Listen, the New York Giants have confirmed on the 22nd of March that they have signed Adoree Jackson to the New York Giants. Now, I posted this on Twitter. I'll put it up here. I kind of knew the writing was on the wall for Adoree Jackson being a New York Giant. We'll get into the contract, in just a bit. I thought he would be signed for much less, but I thought the writing was absolutely on the wall. His agent was already hinting at it. It looked like he couldn't hold it in. And, Adoree Jackson was already following multiple Giants players at the same time. I believe he followed the Giants account as well. So that's a huge indicator right there. And also, he was seen with Logan Ryan at dinner, who obviously were former teammates in Tennessee. Adoree Jackson got signed to a 3-year, $39 million contract with $26 million in guaranteed money. And with this contract, I know one similarity is that 3-year deal, which is I love for Dave Gettleman. He's not making any long-term commitments. He's giving these players a decent amount of money in less amount of years, just so he has room to potentially spread that money out in contract extensions. The way he is orchestrating this roster management is absolutely beautiful. It's a freaking masterpiece. Okay, what Dave Gettleman is doing with this New York Giants roster management, making sure we are planning for the future and making sure we're not in cap hell for years to come. Now, what Dave Gettleman did differently with this contract was front-loaded Adoree Jackson's contract rather than back-loading it, which is what we've been seeing for the past couple of years now. It started off with James Bradberry and Blake Martinez. Their contracts were back-loaded, and then they had to go through a restructuring and a potential another restructure this year. And then Leonard Williams this year, Kenny Golladay, Kyle Rudolph, the list goes on and on with how many contracts were backloaded, and it kind of had some reasons for concern for the New York Giants' future, as even though the cap will be going up exponentially, we still are left with the question, how much money are we going to be paying these players in these next coming years? Obviously, when you backload contracts, you're adding on that year's salary plus the money that you backloaded. So there's always a cause for concern there. But as far as what the Giants did to try to even that out just a bit, they're going to be paying Adoree's money pretty much up front. Sources say he's going to be making $16 million this year, which is $1.5 million less than James Bradberry, who we all know is our star number one corner. So he's going to be making up that high cornerback range. And apparently in year 2 for a cornerback, this guy is going to be making $27 million in 2022. I don't know how the hell we're going to do that. Quick editor's note, I am stupid and I did not realize that it was over the course of 2 seasons that $27 million will be paid, not in year 2. So yeah, back to the video. I'm dumb. Alright, sorry. Maybe that is an inevitable restructure and contract extension when that time comes. I just don't see us paying this man $27 million. So we'll see what happens there. And we also need to see what happens with that knee injury that he suffered in 2020, causing him to miss about 13 games, and really, was a reason probably why he was cut from the Tennessee Titans. They may have thought that he just wasn't worth keeping on the roster for the amount of cap space that they can clear. I believe they wound up clearing up about $10 million of cap space for Adoree Jackson, which is good for the Tennessee Titans. So we brought him on. We're paying him $13 million a year on average, not really $13 million a year. So we have a number 2 corner. Now, when you look at Adoree Jackson, he's a 5'11 corner at 185 pounds, but he's an outside corner, okay? He looks small. He looks like he's not very physical, but he is an outside corner. He's very physical, very nasty, and very feisty. So I like that on Adoree Jackson. But we look at this secondary as a whole. This is what I really want to get into. We look at this secondary as a whole, and I guarantee you, the Giants will be a top 5 secondary in 2021. You guys thought NYPD was pretty badass in 2016. That was a team that was like 20th something against the pass. We were just very good at passes, defense, and things like that, but we still give up a lot of yards in the passing game back in 2016. All right, this team is going, this secondary most in particular is going to be elite next season. I don't care what anybody says. This has went from a weakness to a strength. We could still wind up drafting a cornerback in the 3rd or 4th round. I don't know. I mean, we don't have a lot of big needs left on this team, which is crazy to say because we were a team that really desperately needed help going into this offseason. But as far as the secondary goes, we can just go on the list and talk about each and every prospect. We just finished talking about Adoree Jackson at the number 2 corner spot. Let's talk about James Bradberry at the number 1 corner spot. James Bradberry finished like top 2 or maybe top in the league in passive defense this year with about 17 passive defense, 3 interceptions. This guy was absolutely locked down last year, and all he needed was a counterpart. And we were trying to experiment there with Julian Love, Isaac Yiadom, Corey Ballentine, right? But it just wasn't working out. Although I like Isaac Yiadom, he's going to be very, very good depth. Adding Adoree Jackson in there right next to James Bradberry is just an amazing secondary, the foundation to the secondary. And then you add on Darnay Holmes at that nickel spot. There was a lot of question with that number 2 corner spot saying, hey, can we get Darnay Holmes to play number 2 corner, right? He played outside corner in UCLA. Although he's more suited to play slot corner, Darnay Holmes has a skill set that is pretty versatile, and you can go ahead and try to put him on the outside if outside corner is more of a need than slot corner. You can find a slot corner much easier than you can find a very good boundary corner. So there was always that question there, but now we don't need to do that. Now we don't need to put Darnay Holmes out of his so-called natural position or the best position that he can play. We don't have to force him out of that because now we have Adoree Jackson. Now it's pretty much locked down. We know what these guys are playing. James Bradberry is going to be playing the number 1 corner, Adoree Jackson the number 2, and Darnay Holmes the number 3 in the slot, and that just makes for an amazing foundation for your secondary. But that's not all, folks. That is not all. We have to talk about the safeties, and the New York Giants have been using these big nickel sets in 2020, and I imagine they are going to do the same thing in 2021 because they re-signed Logan Ryan to another deal, extending him, and obviously he was a very big factor in recruiting Adoree Jackson. And now we bring back Logan Ryan, and he is going to be that 3rd corner, that kind of that 3rd safety. He's gonna be that guy to roam around the field, whether he's in the slot, playing free safety, whatever the case may be. He's very versatile. Jabril Peppers is another guy that's very versatile. You can put him as a free safety. You could put him as a nickel linebacker. You could put him out, guarding the flat. You can do it so many things. And then you have the 2nd-year player, basically a rookie, Xavier McKinney, who showed a lot of promise in this past year. I know he struggled with a lot of injuries, but the man finished with almost 2 interceptions, had a really good game against the Cowboys, pretty much had the last interception for the Giants this season, and secured that win against Dallas in week 17. Listen, this secondary is going to be absolutely killer. First of all, there's speed everywhere. There's versatility everywhere. And on top of that, we have the depth as well. Julian Love being a safety slash corner is a huge help to us. On top of that, Isaac Yiadom is still there. We haven't gotten rid of him yet. Who knows if we keep him, if we cut him, I don't know. The Giants need to make some moves to add on a Kenny Golladay contract and a Leonard Williams contract and a Adoree Jackson contract and a Reggie Ragland contract, and a Kyle. I mean, we're way over the cap right now, so I don't know how we're going to get this back down, but the Giants are going to figure out a way, obviously, because they made these signings, so they have a plan on what they're going to do. I don't know if Isaac Yiadom is one guy to be let out of there. I believe he's like $2 million against the cap. But it adds fantastic depth, and I honestly see at least two Pro Bowlers in this secondary. Whether that be Jabril and Logan, James and Logan, James and Jabril, maybe Adoree Jackson gets some Pro Bowl nods. We may even see 3 Pro Bowlers. Who knows? I honestly see that much of this secondary. So I want to know your thoughts in the comment section below, guys. This can be a top secondary in 2021. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Leave a like if you guys enjoyed. Subscribe if you guys are new. And I will see you guys in the next video.